Okay, and we're back to the second module. Okay, so some of the philosophies that they were thinking that this would work really well, right? That they would take prisoners out of their area, because what they were finding early on, if you sent prisoners to prison, they would just get with all the other prisoners and just like, oh, just like in law enforcement, oh, you caught some bad guys. Well, how'd you catch them? Oh, this is what we did. We dressed up all in black and we rode our bikes out in the middle of the night, and there was 12 or 15 of us driving all around till we found this rapist. Oh, that works great, right? You talk and give information and stories, right? That's what prisoners do. When they're in there, they talk about the crimes. What else are you going to talk? They're not, selling Girl Scout cookies or Boy Scout cookies with their kids, right? Not all. Because can't say generalizing everybody, right? Can't paint a broad brush because there might be some out there. Okay. So what they decided to do is they tried to take some prisoners from within California and transplant them across the state, thinking, oh, we'll take them out of their environment. Well, that's great. But what happens when you get out of prison? Where's your family? They're back in California, right? So you go back. And so now you're educating people like, oh, in California, we do things over here. Well, over here in Texas, we do things over here. Well, in South Dakota, right? So now, not only we have centralized to our state, now they've gone across the United States and have passed on more information. So they kind of got rid of that. Mandatory minimum sentence. I agree with this. People are like, oh, great, he got 15 years in prison. Woo, right? He ends up doing 4 because of good behavior, right? Gets out for good behavior and all kinds of other stuff. So when it sounds great, sounds for 15-year thing, it's like he's going to go away for a long time. Fantastic. Wonderful, right? My partner was shot. He got the suspects got 8 years in state prison, ended up doing 4 for shooting at a cop. 4 years in the pen. What is that? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, you get 8 years, but it's cut in half for good behavior. Well, what else are you going to do in prison, right? Well, you should be good in prison because you should be good outside. And so now you wait till you get inside prison, so now you're going to be good. I never understood that concept, right? And the 3 strikes laws, they kind of got rid of that. I thought it was tremendous, but then it started costing too much money. And what would happen in that aspect is maybe in your lifetime again, you can kind of look at it, is if you had a long criminal history, right? In and out, in and out, in and out, in and out of prison. They got tired of it. And so they designed a law that if you do anything on your 3rd strike, right, anything that can be considered a crime, you would get back to jail for 25 years, okay? So what was happening is people were coming out of prison and they'd go into the local 7-Eleven, right, and just help themselves to pizza, reach over, grab a pizza. Petty theft, is that a crime? Yeah, you got to pay for the products, not yours, right? And then they would be sentenced, boom, 25 years to life, right? Because they had a long criminal record. So the boom, 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 long history criminal. So then they're like, oh my gosh, cruel and unusual punishment. We're sending these people away for 25 years because they stole a pizza. Well, no, we didn't send them away for 25 years for stealing a pizza. We sent them away for 25 years because obviously they're not learning their lesson. Here we go. Here's their long criminal record. That's why we're putting them away for 25 years. So, boom, that was kicked out, right? Even though it was used against low-level and serious offenders. Can't have that. All right. Here's a little video, right? And I want you to tell me what you have learned from watching the video. Hold on just a second. Oh, here we go. Trying to find my stuff here in a minute. Oh. It's kind of funny. I used to have partners that were my age, 55 years old and stuff. I used to hear them making all kinds of sounds, noises, bending over and stuff, and now I do it. I think it's kind of funny. So that's my mom laughing. You sometimes see her walking around the back. She's also looking to see what I'm doing because you learn a lot, huh, Mom? Yeah. Okay. So this program started out an eye for an eye. That's from the Bible, right? An eye for an eye. And they took it literal. So if somebody, stole something, they would chop their hand off, right? Somebody would do something, so an eye for an eye. It's not basically the same exact thing. It's like, oh, I'm going to steal something from you, so you steal something from me. They try to go one level up. Watching this video, tell me one thing you learned. Doesn't have to make it big or anything, just one thing you learn. Retribution. Ways for offenders to pay for harms they cause. Right. Very rare do you ever get any type of retribution back from the suspect. There's no justice if the offender is not punished, right? Because you want something done. If something happens, right, to my family, I want something done. You're not going to mess with my family. There's going to be a price to pay, right? That's what everybody wants. It also draws the concept and argues that a punishment for a crime should be proportional to or equal to the crime itself. It sounds great on paper. I can see where the lawmakers are trying to go with this. Really doesn't work out. There was a person who got caught for 90 burglaries, 90 houses, kicked in the door, took all the stuff, crime spree, took everything, right? So we got 7 years in the state pen. Yeah, woo! Retribution, right? Gets what he deserves. Breaking into 90 houses, terrorizing all these neighborhoods, right? People working hard. They come home, find all their property gone. They ended up doing 90 days in jail. Why? Why? Because the jails are full. It was crazy. And so they let all these people go. So now they're out again, like, oh, well. And it's a property crime. Nobody got hurt, right? So they just get kicked out the door, and it's really, really, really sad. Okay. So you try to focus on improving public safety or utilitarian functions. Focus on enacting a punishment for a violation. Okay. So you got all those aspects in trying to move ahead and hold people accountable for their actions. All right. So rehabilitation versus retribution. So retribution, you want to be concerned for punishing the person. Rehabilitation, you want to make them all better. Kumbaya, come back into the world, and they're going to live happily ever after with the rest of society, right? Sounds great on paper, right? And it's, I don't know if you're born with a gene of being a criminal. I don't know, like, what aspect of what point is it, because I have met people who've done it out of need, right, where they are picking up food for their family, the babies, and things like that, and those are dang near heartbreaks where, they're trying to buy the diapers, and when you arrest them, the baby's there in a soiled diaper, screaming, crying, and they got the formula and stuff, right? So, rehabilitation would probably work great in that aspect. Doesn't always work, but it's out there in order to try to conform people into a wonderful society. All right. So different types of punishment are out there. And they talk about correctional philosophies restoration, where it places the victim at the core of all decision making, right? Where what's going to happen to the suspect? What do you want to see happens? It involves a joint process between the victim, the offender, and the community. So you're involved to feel that there's some type of punishment for the suspect, and justice becomes an opportunity for healing, right? People want justice. That's no matter what the incident is, right? That's what you hear. Just want justice, right? But what does justice mean to you in a certain aspect? And what does justice mean to me? Okay. We worked a case here, all right, where people were in church, right? And one of the people who helped in the younger kids area, the nursery, little first, second grader, kinder care, there was an incident of child molestation, right, by an individual who worked at the church. He was arrested, did his time in prison, and the little girl, I think, was 6 or 7 years old, okay? He, after he did his crime and everything, he came back to the church, spoke to the pastor, and asked the pastor if he can return back to the church, okay? Got to give it to the pastor, right? Because it was his daughter the suspect molested, right? His daughter. So I could never do this, right? Could never do this. But the pastor told him, sure, you're welcome back in the church. Obviously, you're not going to work in the kids center anymore. It's not up to me to judge you. It's going to be up to you and God. And his daughter still went to the church. He still is a pastor at the church, and this is a suspect. So, there you go. All right. So, like I said, everybody's different. So, he was able to continue on in that manner. Okay. All right. Here's a Sentencing Reform Act. It says it was abolished. That should be parole boards at the federal level was the key to the future act. Not abolition of parole boards at the federal level was key feature. The Sentencing Reform Act of 1984 was a U.S. Sentencing Commission was tasked with crafting sentencing guidelines at a federal level, right? So what that means, bank robberies, interstate crime, not just located to one state. However, at that level, it was criticized for being too rigid and unnecessarily harsh. Again, here we go. Poor bad guys, right? Did the crime. We can't be hard on them. But then, okay, so are we too hard on them? We're not hard enough, so they get out. Like, what? When did crime start? Answer me that. When did crime start? How do you know when crime started? If crime started, right, and you look at all the barbaric things that happened to criminals over the years, they tried everything. Here we're in the year 2020. What's happening? Any crime? Any crime? What's going on? You guys have looked at crime models. You look at crime mapping, right? Is there still crime today? Yeah, still crime today, right? Why? We've been so hard on all these people. 3 strike laws of people going away for 25 years to life. We tried to rehabilitate them, make them feel great in prison, give them jobs, come out, do something, right? Or we try the retribution. Why do we still have crime today? Why? I want to know what's going on in your heads. Why do you think we still have crime today? All right, second module ready to upload. Here we go.